Hello and welcome to another episode of Nerd Age, where we discuss everything nerdy. My name is Mick, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts Josh,
What's up?
Corey,
I'm back.
and Jonah.
Hey guys.
Welcome back, Corey.
He's back from the dead.
Thank you.
We are very glad to have you back.
1 week and
1 week.
I'm back.
It's sad, even 1 week without.
I was gonna say it's sad I'm back. Yeah, I feel you, dog.
It's sad.
Yeah, I know.
1 week without you.
I defeated COVID. It's fine.
Nice.
That's what we like to hear.
Undefeated.
That's right.
So this week, our main topic is Book of Boba Fett, episode 6.
Yeah.
I believe we all had a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
So,
From the desert comes a stranger, right? Is that what it was called?
Yes, I believe
Yes,
so.
it was.
let's jump into it.
Who's first? This is a big episode. Corey, since you didn't talk last week at all, the floor is yours.
Well, I also didn't get to talk about 4 and 5. And I wanted to kind of address just real quick the whole like, oh my gosh, this doesn't feel like Boba Fett. Oh my gosh, like, is this Mandalorian now? It's like, yo, yeah, we're cool with it. Like, dude, if you think about it, like their stories are very intertwined.
Yeah.
And so what they're doing right now feels totally fine, 100%. I'd be actually more pissed if they didn't spend enough time with each character to justify why to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you'd feel really forced and awkward if they did only 20 minutes on and rushed his whole story of how he got his, or he didn't even, they didn't even like address how he got the Naboo fighter. Like,
Yeah.
like what the heck? He's just got that.
He
now?
just
It's
shows
like,
up and you're like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So I would rather it be like this than just be like hyper focused on him, on Boba Fett. So, I mean, you guys know me. I'm a huge Luke fan.
Yeah.
Right. So this is my favorite episode
Yeah.
by far.
Oh, it's
not
not
even.
I mean,
spoilers for all of this.
we know.
Yeah,
we
we
know.
know. We've said from the beginning we're
Yeah.
just going to
So
spoil.
I mean, yeah. So I couldn't be more stoked about it. I mean, I like Grogu as well. And Ahsoka, like, these are all my favorite characters in one episode. It's like
Yeah.
a dream come true. And man, did they knock it out of the park with the freaking deep fake CGI, whatever fusion of that was.
Crazy.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Amazing.
You as somebody who, like you said, big Luke fan,
Yeah.
comparing to, because I know he looks way better than he did in Mando.
Yeah.
I was still okay with what they did in Mando.
Yep, same.
But what was your initial reaction when you saw it? You know, that first scene of him just sitting there. What was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of it was less intense than the Mando stuff because, well, I wasn't sure if it was possible in the Mando. Like, I didn't know if Disney was going to do that. You know what I mean? Or, you know, so in this, it's like I knew that they could do it.
Right.
And Grogu went with him. So once Mando starts talking about it, you're like, okay, well, the door's opened. And so it was just really cool to see Ahsoka, though. I think seeing Luke was awesome. I expected it. I thought it wasn't going to look as good as it actually did, and the amount of close-ups they did of him was like so much. I was like, you guys are like spending so much time, like, and also taking risks. But man, it showed that they're really confident in their tech and what they could do. But because man, dude, like half the episode was close-ups of Luke's face, like at least when they're on Grogu's storyline.
Well, one of the cool things is so when Mando happened, when Luke came in the season finale of Mandalorian, there was a guy on YouTube that did the comparison, the deep fake, his versus Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm hired him.
Yeah. They're putting him to work.
And so you can tell, like, he made a huge difference.
He's talented, and he now has access to new tech / money, and you can see what happens when you have both.
Yeah.
There's
It's not
a
just
shot,
tech and money. It's
there's
talent,
a
too.
shot in the episode that I just can't believe is real. When Luke is doing the lightsaber stuff, there's a shot that he comes straight onto the camera and he holds his saber, and it's the sun's like playing off his, like hitting off his face. It's really bright, and you get just a perfect shot of Luke. Like, people are sharing the image around, but it's like it looks insane. It looks like it's young Mark Hamill. Like that's crazy to me. So I thought that was really awesome, and I didn't expect it to look that good. I thought they were going to kind of like do things to kind of hide it, like.
Yeah,
He's going to
have to be as close.
in
They
the
don't have to
shadows.
be
It's
that
going to be
close.
from far off. But I was like, no, like you were saying, they really like.
Dude.
focused in on his face, close-ups. They did some stuff with him talking off screen.
Yes, which is smart.
That's the hardest thing to do is the lips.
Mm-hmm.
So, but everything else was like, man, just the movement and everything was incredible.
They still did it. It was just not as much. Because you can tell how complicated and how much effort is required to even make that look decent.
Yeah. I mean, Henry Cavill's mustache is a prime example.
As someone that I believe I've said on this podcast before that why don't they just, if they're going to use Luke that much, why don't they just recast? Like, I'd be fine with that. Now, I've completely done a 180. Now that I know that it can look this amazing, I'm all for this deep fake.
Yeah. Well, because the last version, for a lot of people, it was in that uncanny valley.
Yeah, and you could instantly tell something was...
This was, like, weirdly comfortable.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, man, this feels almost right. You know what I mean? In a way where it's like, it looks like... of him. Like I
think my first word when I saw him was just whoa. Yeah. Like wow. Like this is wowza. This is like the best fake face that we've seen. I mean it's crazy how good it looks.
Yeah, what'd you think, Choop?
Yeah, no, the same thing. I think I said something like, dang, he looks good. Or something like that.
We really got to do reactions to actually see if that's true. Wowza, dang, he looked good.
Yeah, but he looked awesome. I really liked that whole, like, I was kind of curious because I think when we predicted, I said, we're not going to see this. I'm like, Mando's going to show up mid-episode, and we're just going to assume we're going to see that later.
We were completely wrong with
you
our
two were both wrong.
Oh, when you guys were talking about 4 and 5. Gotcha. Last week.
And I even said, I don't want to see it. I want to focus on Book of Boba Fett.
Okay.
But, I mean, obviously,
you wanted to see it.
because this was awesome. And it was just cool to see, like, them building his like little those little those
androids,
insect ones building his thing. It was cool seeing R2.
The queen bee.
It's
controlling those ants.
Is that his official title?
Spelled BEE.
Yeah. They were the same color too.
And then I mean it's crazy that we see R2 and that's like 5 rows down the list of what we want to talk about. Like because there's so many other cool things that happen in this episode. But just seeing Luke training. Grogu was awesome.
I loved how he's like walking with him and he's like force like lifting him.
Yeah, that was cool. The other thing that was awesome. So all that training stuff was cool. It kind of went from the episode for me was like, oh my gosh, to like another oh my god. Like you see R2 and you're like, oh R2, and then you see Grogu and you're like, oh Grogu, and then it's like Luke, and then you have the flashback.
Yeah, that was
to
cool.
the Jedi Temple to seeing, Order 66 happening again.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, we're seeing it. And then it's just one thing after another. And then Ahsoka shows up, you're like, what? That's kind of my reactions to everything was like that.
The training callback to episode 5.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was just really good. And I think, obviously, hats off to Dave Filoni because Dave Filoni is the man. I just think no one understands Star Wars better than he does. It's just... in the lead up to the episode, people were tweeting, like friends of Dave Filoni were saying that this episode was amazing, and Josh kind of shared that tweet with me, and I think I sent it to you guys to the group. But it was like people already know, like it's Dave Filoni's turn. What's going to happen? And I think a lot of people were like, "Don't get your hopes up. It's probably nothing." And then it was just kind of blown people's minds with the stuff that they did. It was just, to me, it was like a perfect episode. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's just nostalgia and all that stuff. And I was like, who cares? Like, yeah, that's what I want. Give it to me. Like, it was things that we've always wanted to see as Star Wars fans, like fans of Clone Wars and Ahsoka. We always wanted to know if Ahsoka and Luke met and if they had a conversation about, Anakin.
Yeah.
And when she says, just like your father, like I literally... I probably shouldn't admit this. I started crying. Like I teared up.
Cecil.
Melissa looked over. My wife looks over at me and she's like, are you crying? And I was like, shut up, leave me alone. And then we got in a fight because I told her to shut up and leave me alone.
So that's a whole other episode.
So anyways, but I just think there's those kind of things that Filoni understands. There's a lot of fans that get that was just a special moment. And for many, it would just be like, well, that was just a silly line. But for me, it was like... No. It just hit home that moment.
But that's exactly why I disagree with everyone on Twitter and social media who's like, oh, this is just a nostalgia trip. Oh, this is like not really Star Wars. It's like, no, dude, like you got to understand there's so many story points in this episode that actually cuts to other things. And it makes this episode very interconnected to a lot of different story plots. Yeah. And so like, even with like Grogu's decision at the end, it's like, that's tying to like, is there a future where Grogu is both like to the history of that one Mandalorian who was a Jedi? Like, we don't know, but like it's just so cool to have like all these different like just loose ends being tied up. It's like Ahsoka got to talk with Luke. That's awesome. They know each other, and she's still separated from that. You know,
right? She's not another teacher there, being like, "Hey, this is
such an interesting."
She's the English. He's the English teacher. I'm the history teacher.
Exactly. She's like,
against the dark arts.
She's like the janitor kind of, or like the welcome committee, and that's about it. It's interesting.
She's like letting him do his thing. She's still. I think she's still like not a Jedi.
No,
you know?
she's not.
So she's like, this isn't my thing, because she refuses to train Grogu, and Mandalorian asks her about that. So that's really, like you're saying,
so cool.
It's bringing in a lot of stuff, bringing in more possibilities, and tying things together. And I think that's what's brilliant about it.
Yeah, and I think thematically, it's also kind of a similar idea of like Boba Fett's becoming something that he wasn't before. He's changing. Mandalorian in this story, he's not a bounty hunter anymore. Essentially, he's going through a change. Grogu has to pick what he's going to be. So like, there's all these themes that fit in with what we've been seeing in the Book of Boba Fett, and they're all intertwined together.
Yeah. I think they're doing a really cool thing here, because, you know, Mando's whole belief system is kind of a farce. You know what I mean? Kind of, and it's like a cult kind of, but it's like, it's interesting to see how they're opening up each character's options and saying, here's your choices. Now break that and make your own path. And I think that's what they're kind of doing thematically with these characters. And Boba is doing his own thing, right? He's not just following his dad's footsteps. He's doing his own thing based on what he's discovered in his own life. And Grogu's going to do the same thing, I think. I mean, we're going to make some predictions, I'm sure, on what choices he make. But I think it's going to be very revealing of the whole theme of the whole series based on Grogu's decision. And I think that's very interesting. Do you guys think that like the reason why they're doing so much of Mando, Grogu, you know, inserted into Boba's story is because, well, that's the future plan, is to have them all together? Or do you guys think that it's just going to be a constant interconnection, or like, do you think it's a more permanent, it's future, it's like foreshadowing the future?
There was a thread, I don't think I shared it with you guys, but someone put it on Twitter that was just going through, I guess apparently when they announced the Book of Boba Fett, Kathleen Kennedy said the next chapter will be announced soon of The Mandalorian, and then they announced the Book of Boba Fett. And so in this thread, the guy's talking about how even in Lucasfilm, Book of Boba Fett was referred to as Mandalorian Season 2.5.
They consider it one,
because they were saying the next, like the story of these characters is going to be pushed forward. So I just think all these shows, I think the Ahsoka show when it comes out is going to have ties like with Boba Fett, other people. I think they're just building a bigger narrative and using these shows to kind of tell a bigger story. And I think it's cool because they're not going to do a trilogy, right? When you do a trilogy of movies, you're kind of pigeonholed into this is the only story we're telling. I think they're really going to use Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka. They're not doing the Rangers anymore, but that was supposed to tie in Rangers of the New Republic. There's rumors of a Bo-Katan show. I think all these are going to be telling a massive story, but they're going to be able to follow and build up these characters on an individual level. And I just think it's really cool that they're doing it that way. So I think what they're doing is they're basically saying, hey, Boba Fett's going to be in charge of Tatooine. And then at some point in Mandalorian Season 3, maybe he comes and helps, you know, as Mando's trying to reclaim Mandalore and all that and uniting the clans. Boba Fett's going to be a part of that. I just think they're setting up things, and the complaints that people have, they'll be like, oh, why aren't we following Boba Fett? Why are we following these other characters? It's because, because they're telling a bigger story. It's kind of like a novel, you know? Lord of the Rings doesn't always follow Frodo and Sam. There's chapters where it goes and follows Aragorn, Pippin, Merry. They're telling a grander story, and they each have a role to play. I think that's the same thing they're going to do with this stuff.
Yeah. What do you think, Mick? What do you think so far?
I mean, I think I initially had kind of a maybe not an issue, but just surprised that they were focusing more on the Mando stuff with Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett. But that's an excellent point. I mean, that happens all the time in storytelling. You don't always focus on the one character, and that just, not that it's not good enough to be in like the Mandalorian series, but it seems like the in-between stuff that it makes sense to just tell it now.
Yeah.
And it just gets you more excited for Mandalorian season 3 when it comes out. So,
and it's this type of storytelling is no stranger to Star Wars. Like they've done this in Rebels, they've done it in Clone Wars, where they break off with different teams and stuff like that, and people and highlighted their stories. So you can tell people who have issues with it really haven't watched a lot of the extra stuff.
Well, and honestly, with specifically the Boba Fett stuff, they've kind of told what they wanted to tell. It was just kind of waiting for the Mandalorian character to like join him. So there wasn't like anything else to tell really. Now that it's the last episode, they're going to finish that out, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, that made sense for them to like break away at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like this story's done with Book of Boba Fett and we're never going to see Boba Fett again. Yeah, it's like you said, I fully expect Mandalorian season 3. We're going to see Boba Fett in Mandalorian season 3. Yeah. Like, and to me, that's way cooler than being like, oh, we got one series with Boba Fett, or back in the day, we would have got one movie with Boba Fett, and then let's hope they make a sequel that it did good enough. Like now it's like we've got this cast of characters that we care about, and they can show up in either of the shows, and that's freaking awesome. Like to have the Mandoverse, essentially, like of these interconnected shows. Luke's probably going to show up in the Ahsoka show. Anakin's already showing up in the Ahsoka show. Yeah. Like just the fact that all these are intertwined, like that's super awesome. And I don't know why you would complain about that, to be honest with you.
It seems like a nitpick to me, because it's like the thing that I've been struggling with is a lot of people are like, I've seen people complain about the fact that we were doing flashbacks with Boba Fett. And now that they're doing Mando stuff, they're like, what happened to Boba Fett? I'm like, you were complaining that they were showing Boba Fett in the past. So like, I think people just like complaining to complain. There's always something. I think it generates more like conversations if you say something negative, and then more people are like, well, defend it, like me, the idiot that goes into these arguments.
I don't know why you do that.
But
that was my first mistake, was to follow you on Twitter. I might unfollow you, bro.
Go ahead. But the thing that I think is really cool, just what we've been talking about, is they have a plan, and I think that's one of the biggest issues with, as much as I love the sequel trilogy, they didn't really have a plan.
Right.
And that was shown through, Colin Trevorrow, who started doing Rise of Skywalker, and then he got fired, and they brought J.J. Abrams back. They didn't have a plan. And so it's nice to see that they actually have a plan with what they're doing, and it's cool to see like the reaction that people are having, because people are loving it. You're always going to have people talking negative and stuff, but the overwhelming amount of people are really enjoying what they're doing and the story they're telling. And I think it just all comes to Dave Filoni and Favreau having a plan of what they want to say, and not just being like, well, let's figure it out as we go along. They have an end point, right? And they're trying to get there and making a story. So
the coolest thing about all of this for me is that before these series were even released and even talked about, they were like, oh yeah, we're going to be doing this in this kind of time frame. And it's like, this is exactly the time frame that I wanted to see, because me, big Luke fan, I wanted to see what is post, for him. What happens?
Prime Luke.
Prime Luke. And it's just cool because it's not going to give me a solo Luke series. And that's not what I want. And that's like the cool thing.
Han Solo Luke series?
A Luke Solo. Yeah. His brother. But this is exactly what I want. I want a little taste. I want a little bit. They showed his power. I'm happy. Showed him teaching, him starting the whole, the school up. This is awesome. Like, I'm just a huge fan of this. And it makes me sad that the series is almost over, like, personally. Yeah. Obviously, there's going to be more series to have, but a little sad, man.
Yeah,
a little sad. Yeah. The episode did start with a familiar face too, with Cobb Vanth. It was cool seeing him again.
Yeah, without the armor, that was cool seeing. And then what happens at the end of the episode was awesome.
Well, I like how the start of the episode. I mean, we kind of knew it before, but the start of the episode really like shows him as this like gunslinging guy that's like unstoppable.
Sheriff.
The sheriff or marshal, whatever. But and then the end of the episode we get the title of the episode,
the Cad Bane,
stranger in the desert or whatever.
It was a nice misdirect because I definitely thought like, oh, it's Cobb Vanth.
He's
gonna walk into Mos Eisley and be like, oh, that's the stranger that comes into the desert, and he's gonna be like, hey, I'm here to help you, Boba Fett. And then as soon as I saw the silhouette, I was like, freaking Cad Bane.
Yeah.
We're good. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Do you guys watch reactions of people watching I watched
No.
15 of them.
The reason I don't is because the thumbnails always bother me because it's always someone like, we need to start doing those for ours, guys. Boba Fett review.
That's right. I get some. It's a weird thing. I get joy. Like there's certain guys I watch. There's a guy I don't know his name. I've only started watching him recently, like 2 episodes ago. But he's like this big Australian guy with long hair, and he's always just like reacting, and he just starts crying all the time. Yeah, but he's ripped. But I'm just like seeing someone like have joy, like when Cad Bane, he's like, oh my god, like that kind of stuff. I'm like, man, that just makes me happy to see people enjoying something so much.
I mean, that's what this is all about, right? You're supposed to have joy and happiness. So,
but the Cad Bane stuff,
awesome.
He looked great. He sounded awesome. I think it's just a great look for him, and it sets up some pretty cool things for the finale that I'm excited for. I just thought I wasn't expecting that because I was like, we've already got Luke, Ahsoka, R2, Grogu, what else are you going to give us? And then when he showed up, it was like...
Well, just the fact that, we didn't know if he was still alive at this point, because he's probably in his, 70s at this point, I would say.
But he is Duros, right?
I think his lifespan, his race lifespan, though, isn't, anything crazy. It isn't like a Wookiee or anything. But yeah, it was so
Then
awesome.
he's ready to die, then.
I mean, he's the best at what he does, so...
Yeah, I feel like he's really playing that, old, Unforgiven Clint Eastwood... slinger character. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I like how he wrecked the stupid deputy because he got annoying from the beginning.
You
can't park that here. I'm like, get out of here. Who are you talking to?
I knew that guy was going to die from the get-go.
He's not a gun for hire.
The marshal's not for sale.
Yeah, that's him up.
Yeah, because Cobb Vanth gets shot in the shoulder, right? So he's still alive. And then Cad Bane makes sure to shoot the guy 4 times.
Yeah, lights him up
in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, he was sweet. And I like that you introduced he's like, hey, Boba Fett's a killer. He worked for the Empire.
Cold-blooded killer.
Yeah. So it's you get that nice little conflict. But yeah, seeing him in live action was definitely was awesome. I think he looked great. I've seen people complain that he doesn't look like he does in Clone Wars, but I'm like, you don't want the characters in Clone Wars to look like their live action counterpart. Just look at Count Dooku.
Would have
There has to be some. Yeah, it's a different translation.
Clone Wars is bad. The race, the human ratio of body parts are just so effed up.
A giant triangle for a nose.
No, you don't want that.
So it's I think he looked awesome in live action. The outfit was awesome,
which makes me be like, Thrawn's gonna look sick.
Yeah,
his song's blue and red eyes.
Yeah,
so
he's just a blue.
It's a little tease.
I don't think he's that crazy.
Yeah, I think he's. I mean, it's gonna seeing cool. Thrawn in live action is gonna be.
Have they cast Thrawn?
I think what they're saying is it's gonna be the guy that does his voice in Rebels.
It's not. It's Mads Mikkelsen's brother.
Lars Mikkelsen.
Yeah, it is Lars. Yeah.
Wow.
But
it's not gonna be Benedict Cumberbatch.
No. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss on this episode before we go into our predictions of the finale?
I don't think so. Other than it just being the most Star Wars stuff that I think I've seen so far, specifically in live action.
Star Wars.
The music, the Force theme, when he like that, it just all Yoda's theme. It felt like it was melding the new and the old kind of seamlessly, and that's what it's like. That's just what my biggest takeaway is it felt like it wasn't just something overtaking another thing. It was kind of just a beautiful melding and tying together of
and just
new and old.
Just such rich stuff that we've said, did we ever think we were going to see Luke teaching and building up his school prime Luke? I don't think we did, but it was so cool being able to see this type of stuff.
Yeah, it's the first episode I've watched twice. So that says a lot. So I'm super pumped. Yeah.
So this can kind of go into predictions too, but how do you guys feel about Luke making Grogu choose? Like he's kind of still holding on to his no attachment type of thing.
I guess for me, it's like he must. I mean, it's what 6 years after Return of the Jedi.
Well, also you guys have to understand, we saw end of life Luke, so like his beliefs at that point.
Yeah, I know.
Like we know what his beliefs were then.
But technically, and he went against Yoda's teaching to save everybody in Empire Strikes Back, and its attachment that essentially saves Darth Vader in the end.
I guess that's what I'm.
So that's kind of why I'm asking is like, how do you guys? Because I saw people complain about it, but I'm curious to see what you guys think.
I could see him like having read the Sacred Jedi text and stuff, and getting more of like an official like way to teach. But that did come to mind where I was like, I bet it's intentional. I think the next episode is gonna kind of lift our eyes a little bit. I think he's gonna be like,
just kidding.
He's gonna be like levitate both and like taking both. He's like, well done, my boy.
I've taught you.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think
they should be something like that.
I think they showed you in the episode why Luke did it. First off, one thing we need to understand is we've seen the prequels. Luke hasn't seen the prequels, so he doesn't know anything about the Jedi and the fall. Yeah. So he doesn't know anything about the mistakes they made
Ahsoka
or anything.
Let him in on the
that
secret.
Could be. But
or even talking with Anakin.
But we don't know. We haven't seen that. So from that just point is like he doesn't know from our perspective. The other thing is what he tells Ahsoka in that moment. He says, I don't know if his heart's in it. And that's the biggest thing. Luke, his heart was with his father that he could turn him. So that's why he went there. If Grogu's heart isn't in becoming a Jedi, then there's no point in him doing it. It's not as much about attachment. It's about... Right. It's like, where's your heart at? Is your heart with Mando? Then go be with Mando. He's not saying don't have attachments. He's actually saying if your heart's with Mando, then go and do that attachment because that's better for you. But if you can be a Jedi, then you're going to have to put your heart into doing it. So I think people are seeing it as like, oh, he's making the choice between having no attachments. It's like, no, he's actually telling them you need to attach to something. You need to your heart needs to be in becoming a Jedi, or your heart needs to be with being with Mando. Yeah, and I think that's what he's saying.
But by becoming a Jedi, he's breaking his attachment with Mando, basically. Yeah. So that's the part where it's like...
Yeah, but I think it's coming... It comes from the point of what he says to Ahsoka. Like, his heart... I feel his heart's not in it. And the other thing I can say is, we don't know if Luke... So when Luke leaves Yoda... To do the he says complete your training, and he decides to leave. We don't know if maybe Luke thinks that's a mistake. He doesn't save Han, right? He loses his hand. He learns the terrible secret about his dad actually being that, and then by the time he comes back, Yoda's dead. Yeah, right. And so
I think he thinks it's a mistake.
So there's that element too, where we've seen the movies and we see the outcome, but we don't know what he's going through. Like again, he hasn't seen the prequels. He doesn't know about that kind of stuff. He's learning from the Sacred Jedi texts, all these other things, maybe from what he's heard from Yoda. And I think he's going along as he's making it up as he goes with what he has. So I just think we need to see more instead of just being like, how can you do that? It's like, well, let's see how the story plays out to figure out what he's actually meaning.
Yeah. I was meaning more of like, specifically for Return of the Jedi, it's like pretty clear that his attachment to his father is a good thing in that sense, that it's what ends up saving.
Key to him becoming a Jedi.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just saw people complaining about that. So
I think they framed it. I think they wrote it intentionally to be like that. So I think the answer is going to be a gray answer, and I think that's how it's going to conclude with it.
Does Luke say anything about attachment in that scene?
No.
Or is that something that people are just assuming?
I think it's implied.
Doesn't he say like, if you
can't
have the way of the Jedi, you can't ever see the Mandalorian again.
Because he says you're going to be training for a while, and a while for you is a lifetime for other people.
Yeah, but I don't think that's saying like not attachment. I just think that's a realistic look at, hey, you're going to be training for the next 100 years, and Mando's not going to live 100 years.
Yeah. I honestly think it's people just latching onto something, because then they're like, I think there'll be a satisfying answer like everything else in this show that's popped up that we're like, that's controversial, and then they deliver something good. And I feel like Luke, where he's at, he's new. He's new. He's even said like, he's like, oh, my first student kind of a thing. So he's like learning things. So yeah, I think you're right. It's like we get into this mindset of being like, we've seen the end product, so Luke should be that way the whole time, or, you know, this happened. And so there's no change in character. Yeah.
If it was someone else writing it, if it wasn't Dave Filoni, then I'd be a little worried.
Exactly.
But I trust. He's got a good way of doing this, I'm sure. So hopefully I don't eat my words next week.
So good segue. What do you guys think is going to be? What are we going to see in episode 7? What's the ultimate? Go as crazy as you want. Go not as crazy as you want. Whatever you think. Let's start with Mick. Mick, what do you think we're going to get in episode 7?
Okay, so I think they'll show Grogu making his decision. I think he'll choose Mando. I think Luke will have to take him back to Tatooine, and I think Luke will be involved in some aspect in the conflict happening there.
He kills Boba Fett.
Boba Fett's like, huh, what? I remember you.
How are you?
He flies him down into the Sarlacc and ties him up down there.
Now stay down there.
I think Crimson Dawn, I think they're going to be like revealed as the big godfather head of the syndicate that's going on there. I'm going to stick to my guns. I don't think Han is showing up. I'm going to win that Golden Corral bet.
Most definitely showing up.
I forgot about
Yeah.
So
I never shook on it.
yeah, I don't know if they'll hire any other muscle, because they say in the episode that they're pretty good. I think the people of Freetown will get involved after what happened with Cobb Vanth and stuff.
All dressed in the same, and then they'll be running around it. Now they're over there.
But yeah, just a big conflict between everybody.
Does anyone die?
I don't think so. I mean,
the cyborg motorcycle guys totally eat it.
Hopefully.
I think they're dead for sure. Boba Fett's not going anywhere. I don't think Fennec Shan is going to go anywhere. I've heard like some theories of like, oh, what if Boba Fett has just been playing this whole time and he just like turns on everybody, which I don't really buy.
There's been no.
I think the show has done way too good of a job at setting him up.
They would completely undermine everything.
It's like Puss in Boots when the Humpty Dumpty is revealed to be the bad guy, and then they go over every scene, and he's there in the background doing. That's what they're gonna do.
Or like Hoodwinked, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, just a big fight or whatever happens. Cad Bane is going to show up.
All right.
I think that we'll get the flashback of Cad Bane and Boba Fett, and we'll see the dent happen in the helmet.
Do you think Cad Bane or Boba Fett kills Cad Bane?
I don't think so. I hope not.
I think it makes sense, but I really hope it doesn't happen.
I hope not. Yeah, because
why, dude? The guy's old, bro. Get him out of here.
We just got him though. Yeah, I want more of him. I want more of him.
He looks so cool. You got to keep him alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can't give him to us in one episode.
I think there will be like a definite duel or something between them.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
I mean, I hope that they don't kill him because he's just such a cool character.
All right, Corey, what are your predictions?
Frick. Okay, so let's think. I'm just going to start writing the episode. I think so. They have
we start off in a plan.
I think they start off with Mando and kind of introducing setting up what that conflict's going to look like and what's going to happen. And then I think they just keep carrying that through.
Okay.
I think that they follow Mando a lot in this episode. Probably like 80-90% of it. Mando and Boba, sorry. They're gonna be with each other.
Bambo.
I think a key point of this episode is going to be Grogu coming in clutch at the end. I think that's what's going to happen.
Grogu's going to do Doom.
He's come in.
My ideas.
What?
You guys still know my ideas.
Oh, I'm sorry. My original ideas. My bad. He's going to come in clutch.
Wields the Darksaber.
It's going to reveal somehow that he is wearing the chain link armor. He either Force pulls the Darksaber into his hand and uses it, even though it's giant compared to him. It's a two-handed. He could, because if you're one with the Force, the thing's paper light. But if you're not, and you're not into it, heavy. So either I think maybe Skywalker might give him, Yoda's lightsaber regardless of his choice. I would like to see that. That'd be cool to see him wielding that. Will we see any front flips from Grogu? Maybe not. Maybe so.
We already did, right?
No, but like Yoda flips.
Yoda
Like with lightsaber
lightsaber
out, hurricane attack. Maybe not. I don't think he's that advanced.
Nice.
But I think Grogu's coming in clutch at the end. This is the big like story point that I think is going to be hit. Fennec Shand, take her or leave her. Honestly, at this point, I don't really care. She could die. I put her on the chopping block because she has that point where she like either. Yeah, I think Fennec dies. Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
She
I like
dies
it. Going out on a limb.
because of what she's done for him. There's some emotional attachment there, but not enough of a main character to be like killing Boba Fett. So I think Fennec is in that nice spot where she totally could get slain.
Yeah.
When it comes to Mando, I don't think there's really much to be told with him. I think his story right now is having an emotional connection with Grogu, and how does that go? And so I think Grogu is going to solve that at the end by coming back, and they're going to be a team again.
Nice.
I think. Bantha riding. What's his face riding?
Rancor.
Rancor,
Yeah,
like a
absolutely.
Bantha.
Like a Bantha.
100% happening. That thing's going to be munching on some kids.
Yeah. Kids.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. You know, they recruit
Some
them.
Pike
They
kids.
recruit them pretty early, man. We talked about Kira being involved or something like that. I'm not sure on that one. And Kira steps out of her freaking massive Insano ship and she's like, "Yo, kill these hoes." I don't think so. I don't think Kira comes out.
Dude, you're writing a great episode. Yo, kill these hoes.
Maybe. Okay. So Kira is there. She says that line.
Clearly.
Han Solo does not show up. Unfortunately.
You're all going to be wrong.
The mayor. What's the mayor? The mayor comes back? Nah. I don't know.
Have we seen the mayor?
No.
we did.
we did.
He was the Ithorian.
But then he
that was
left.
like,
We saw him in
remember?
one episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He had the voice translator thing.
Right.
The twins.
totally
Do they
forgot
come
about
back? The twins. I don't. Is it the last we've seen of her and them?
Oh,
Probably the last. I don't think we see him in this episode. But the Crimson Dawn, yeah, we do. That's obviously the main thing. There's got to be one big bad. Who's the big bad? Who's the big bad? Who's the big one?
Yeah.
Cad Bane. That's the big one, probably.
He's working for
Cad
somebody.
Bane, I don't think dies in this one. I think he could be killed. Doesn't make sense though, because there's nothing really riding on his death. So I don't really care about. I don't think Cad Bane dies. I think Cad Bane gets like wounded or something like that. I think he escapes barely. But I would love to see Grogu throw a lightsaber through his throat. That'd be kind of dope.
Oh,
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
that would be dope. Yeah.
It was cool to see Grogu like force just like crunch the trading
Yeah.
dummy. I was
And
like,
take his nap.
yeah, dude.
His heart wasn't in it.
Full
That's
way to
fine.
die.
That's what I say every time
All
I
of
take
his
it out.
horsepower.
My heart's not in it.
Well, yeah.
Work out, my heart's not in it.
That's all I can think of right now.
All right.
But we'll see if you guys bring up anything.
All right,
new.
Choop,
I
go.
might hop on the bandwagon.
like you said, he's riding the Rancor. Easy.
Yeah.
100. Yeah.
I want to think that Luke will probably show up, but I don't know if he'll end up going there. But I will tell you who has also been hired along with Cad Bane. It's going to be Bosk. Bosk is going to show up, and him and Black Chrysanthemum are going to duke it out.
Yeah.
Because we've already seen how much Black Chrysanthemum hates Trandoshans.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So yeah, I think
like
Bosk
that.
is showing up.
Does Chrysanthemum die?
No, he's sticking around.
He's chilling. He's
He's sticking around for Book of Boba Fett.
He might
too.
be part of the team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
okay.
part of the squad.
He's cool.
Fennec might die.
Yeah.
When you first
Right.
said so, I was like, I don't want her to die, but yeah, you're right. I think she's served her purpose.
And she's done a lot for him, so the death would matter.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, she's awesome, and we'll still
she
get
is
her in
awesome.
Bad Batch, so it's not like she's never really gone.
Bro. It's okay.
So yeah,
She's not a real person.
I think Fennec Shan might die.
yeah.
He'll probably lose one of the Gamorreans. One of the Gamorreans is definitely getting murked.
Man, right or left? Which one?
Right, for sure.
The guy that they had to put in the back to tank or the other guy?
Yeah, the guy.
Oh man, that's tough.
I think Kira probably gets revealed as the
Okay.
mastermind,
Big bad,
Wow.
unless they have some
But
other.
because that's the thing, it's missing the person behind the curtain.
Right.
Who's behind the
Aside
mask?
from the Pikes.
Who's controlling it?
That's
Pikes
not-
are so generic. There wasn't even like a solid leader. There was a one guy, but he wasn't even bad. He was like, well, we're
and
not doing the
it
thing.
just makes so much sense with everything that happened in Solo, with everything connected with the Pikes there that happened, and her with Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah,
she'll
I think I'm with you
she'll
on
show
Kira.
up. I
Yeah.
mean, it might be another big baddie, but I think that's the one that makes the most
I think
sense.
it's Kira matched with Cad Bane. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Like he's the muscle.
enforcer. Yeah, exactly.
Anything else?
Nah, that's all I got.
Okay.
Wait. So you don't think Grogu's coming back? You don't think he'll make an
I don't
appearance?
think he'll show up.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
I think we'll see his choice.
Too much of a good thing. I guess.
Yeah, but I don't think he's coming to Tatooine.
Boba riding Rancor, of course.
Yeah.
Grogu and Luke are going to show up at the end, towards the end.
Well, yeah.
revealing that Grogu's made his choice.
Yeah, Luke is coming, by the way,
Luke
because
is-
Grogu doesn't know how to drive.
Right.
So he's got to be
Luke is dropping Grogu off
dropped
back
off.
to Mando.
Yeah.
And Luke is like, hey, yo, Han, I need...
You'll never believe who's back.
No. Luke is going to come in with Han.
my dog.
And Chewie,
I picture
mind you.
Jeez.
We're going to
picture
have the
scene from
millennium...
Back for the Future. Where he's like,
Jeez.
"Hey, you hearing this?"
You're going to get a scene towards the end,
Everyone.
maybe with 20 or 30 minutes left in the episode, where the Millennium Falcon is going to fly over and save somebody by shooting. And then it's going to
one heck of a
land.
pilot.
It's going to land. The thing's going to drop down. Luke comes out with his green
Alden
lightsaber.
Ehrenreich.
Han comes out with his
And Grogu's got a
gun.
little lightsaber.
And Luke and Chewie comes out with a crossbow shooting. I think
No, great.
I think
Give
you're
me-
gonna get something like
give me
that, where
Grogu.
that's the way you bring Han back in for a quick cameo. It doesn't have to be, but it's like
Who's playing?
It would make
Is
sense.
it
Harrison Ford?
What?
Harrison
Yeah,
Ford. They're
he said
doing
Harrison.
the deepfake. They put the guy on double time. Be like, hey, you got
paying
Luke
him
looking so
double.
good. Now you're gonna get Harrison Ford to look young again. Boom.
Sure.
What about Chewie? Is he getting de-aged too?
He already got de-aged in Solo.
Ooh.
I think Fennec Shand is gonna die.
Okay.
I think Cad Bane is going to kill her, and that's going to give Boba Fett the motivation to be like, I think they're going to show the flashback of what you said, of them, their duel from the Clone Wars that never got filmed. They're going to show that. Boba Fett's going to, early on in the episode, when he finds out Cad Bane's around, he's
can I
going to do a
ask you a question?
flashback
Yes,
about
Josh.
this.
I
Yes.
have a question. Does he have to be in a bacta tank to get this flashback?
No, he's going to be telling. He's going to tell
that's a
Mando.
world first.
He's going to tell Mando. He's going to tell Fennec. He's going to be telling the story, and you're going to see it. And I think Bosk is going to be in the flashback because he was in the flashback, in he was supposed to be in there. So I think that's where we're going to see him. I don't think he's going to be working with Cad Bane, but I think we're going to see him in the flashback. It's going to set up the final duel between them, where Boba Fett ultimately kills him after he kills Fennec Shand. Because I think Corey's right. What are you going to have Cad Bane do anymore? Like, this is kind of his, like, he's getting to a point where he's too old. It's going to be huge for fans.
Background. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just love how he looks, man.
Yeah, dude. It's
Like,
sick.
just put him in the
He can just
background.
say
dude.
things.
Yeah, just
He
give
can
him a
say things
book
every once in a while. Yeah. The Book of Boba Fett.
Kira is going to be revealed as in charge of the Syndicate.
But will she be?
But-
Will her face be shown?
Yes.
Okay.
At the end, you're going to find out. But
Aged up.
she is not going to lose. She's going. They're ultimately going to lose, but she's not going to get killed. She's going to be set up as somebody that has information that she's working for. Wait for it. Grand Admiral Thrawn.
From the Great Beyond?
And this is going to tie into the fact that she's working for him, and Ahsoka needs to find her to find information about where Thrawn is and Ezra. That's how they're going to tie that in. I think that's in some way there's going to be a Thrawn name drop.
So
or
does
something
Ahsoka
like that.
also get
I don't think
involved in
Ahsoka gets.
some-
I don't think she gets in this episode. But I think
Yeah, same.
Mando ends up telling her like, "Hey, you were looking for Thrawn." Or something. Like,
Oh,
later
I
on.
forgot the Bad Batch shows up. My bad, guys.
No, but so that's what I'm thinking is gonna happen. I'm gonna get my Golden Corral. I'm gonna get Han showing up, played by Harrison Ford, because that's the bet.
I think the only problem with your story here is it's like too much. Like, I think you're like,
oh, and the season finale is gonna be 3 hours long.
okay. Oh, well, never mind. Okay,
That
gotcha.
is believable. I would like to. You guys convinced me. I think Fennec Shan's going to die.
All right.
You guys make
welcome
some
to the club.
excellent points.
Welcome to the club, my friend.
Yes, it's a good club.
We need
be
to
in.
have someone to die in the
Yeah,
finale.
that's what I'm
and
saying.
like, you're not killing Boba Fett. Fennec Shand, like you said, I can't see her moving forward. I think you've got like Cobb Vanth that can take the spot of Fennec Shand with like, or you have other bounty hunters. Fennec is kind of like you're
Keep
done.
telling me why I'm right, Jonah.
You're right.
All right.
So that's
She's not going to die.
That's my prediction.
After all this.
I think too that I think we'll hear Grogu speak for the first time.
Whoa.
I think when he makes the choice, I think he says,
What does he say?
He goes, Mando.
Mando.
yeah.
What?
Mando chainmail.
Sounds that low?
Yeah.
I think the other thing you got right too is they're going to do a fake
Pointing
out.
straight in your face.
They're going to do a fake out where you think Grogu died, and then they're going to like reveal
It's like
that
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings,
100%.
like the
Yeah.
cave troll stabbing him, and then he's like,
yeah.
"That's he's like, kill the wild boar."
Yeah, 100. And Mando's going to be like, and he's chilling because he made the right
Okay,
choice.
another crazy prediction. I think Luke's going to wield both the lightsaber and the darksaber.
No,
Stop
get outta here.
it.
That's
Double
dumb.
wielding.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Stop.
He's going to attach him?
You don't think that would be cool?
Of course it would be cool, but it's not
It
really.
gets
Fan
shot
service,
out of
fan
Mando.
service.
It gets shot out of Mando's hand, and Luke picks it up. Like that's the moment. Cad Bane's about to kill Mando, and then all of a sudden you just hear like the light force pulls the lightsaber. Ignite the green and the black.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's put an end to that.
There is sorry, just real quick. Last little loose strand that I do notice there being in the story that needs to be tied up probably at the end of this. Maybe it doesn't, but the issue of wielding the darksaber. Does Mando do that finally? Is this something that just is left
That's season 3.
to be
I think.
solved in next season?
He's learning from Sabine how to wield it in season 3.
I've been wrong
Ahsoka.
about everything I've predicted to be in Mando season 3. I think that will be in season 3.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering because that's something that they kept going after. So okay, cool.
That'll be
Yeah.
the arc of the season.
I think so too. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Dude, this episode we've created for the finale.
It's gonna be insane. I'm
It
gonna
sounds
tears, guys.
awesome, dude.
Tears,
Dude, if Han Solo shows up,
guys. I may actually film my reaction.
do it. Yeah.
I may do it. Yelling at my wife to shut up for making fun of me crying. Yeah, you'll see it.
How long is the episode going to be?
An hour and 15 minutes.
No way. Really?
I say give me an hour 30.
Well, that's what. No, okay.
No,
What we want? Are we saying what we want, or what's it gonna?
You're calling it.
If
Yeah,
I'm
you're
wanting
calling
it,
it.
it's
You're calling it.
145. But what I think it's gonna be, I'm thinking it's 117.
Okay. What's
I'm
yours?
saying 130. They're giving it to us.
What do you think?
I'm
giving it to him.
going to say 110.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 105 or something.
You guys are gonna be really disappointed when it's 51 minutes.
No, I know
I think I will.
it's going to be that. Like,
I'm like, you gave me all that crap with Luke.
Every time I do that and I look, that's the first thing I see. I'm like, okay, 49
I never
minutes,
look,
okay,
actually.
Okay, 49 minutes again.
I can work with that.
I'm like, whenever it's like 38, I'm like, what? 38?
Dude, sick. This
do you
is
think
me stoked.
Do you think we get a teaser at the end?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
100%.
Obi-Wan teaser.
Obi-Wan teaser?
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan trailer.
Chrysanthemum gets put in the back to tank, and then we get a flashback of him.
Yeah, the Book of Chrysanthemum.
You're gonna get the Obi-Wan trailer, and it's gonna say premiering in May, coming to in May.
It'd be stupid if they didn't. So I think they will.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan comes in last minute, cuts up Boba Fett, sits on the throne.
Book of
Obi-Wan.
Book of Obi-Wan.
Confirmed.
Awesome.
Nice. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm sad it's over.
Can't wait.
But I've really enjoyed Book of Boba Fett,
Yes.
even though I know a lot of people haven't. It's been right up my alley.
I've been very pleased with it
Yeah.
overall.
I think for me, as not a huge Boba Fett fan, I think it hit pretty well for me. So I think they did a really good job.
Well said.
Well said. Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you, Mick.
Yeah.
But that'll do it, right?
Yeah.
For the review and predictions.
Yeah. And
For the
finale
finale.
predictions.
Yeah.
Make sure to like the video and share it. Go ahead and share it wherever.
We
Last
get
week,
permission.
last week we didn't have video. It's because I was out.
Yeah.
But we're back to normal. So.
Nobody else here owns a camera.
Yeah, and tell your friends to check out the Nerd Age
Yeah, 100%.
on YouTube.
Yes.
So we'll see you guys all next week.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.